Okay, we are live now. So, good evening from the UK, and I'm Dr. Susie Jacob. And today I have a very special guest, a fellow GP who's in with me for the business chat that I usually have once a week. And today I have with me Dr. Adil Mahmood. He's a newly qualified GP and has been doing the business even before he qualified as a GP. He's done this as a registrar. Am I not correct?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay. So for those who don't know me, I am Susie. I'm a GP by background. I do both. I'm a hands-on clinician as well as I do clinical management. And I am a wife to a beautiful 15-year-old daughter and happily married to a chef. So over to you, Adil, just to introduce yourself to our audience tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, Susie. Yes, I'm Adil. I'm a newly qualified GP, very raw and fresh into the career. I've been a doctor for a few years now, but I think what can be said, a grown-up doctor finally after many years. Also happily married, and yeah, I've been doing this business now for a few months and doing my work as a GP alongside as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I was a bit nosy actually. So I went in your page and I saw one of the interviews you had. And that time when you started the business, and I was like, wow, hats off to you. When you started the business, you were doing two exams. I believe it was the AKT and the CSA, and you started the business at the same time. I was like, whoa, you have actually set the bar that high, like I was like amazed when I heard that. I was like, fantastic. So, right, first of all, what actually, you were doing all your exams and, that time you joined the business. So, what actually inspired you to actually join the business, really?
So I think for a few years I'd been looking at developing an entrepreneurial streak, and I think unfortunately the way medicine is in the UK, I think the more you work, I think the more it sort of grinds you out of the love of the profession at times. And I think I still want to be a doctor. I enjoy it. I just was looking for an avenue that I'm about to qualify soon. How can I work enough so I don't hate it, but then also have an alternative source of income which provides a much even better lifestyle than what a conventional doctor does? Because unfortunately, I don't think a career as a doctor and a GP provides the lifestyle which it might have done a few years ago. That's just a sad reality. And I think just when I saw the future in front of me, I thought, okay, something needs to give. And then I came across this opportunity, and I think it was a no-brainer, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think a lot of the doctors, can resonate with that kind of feeling. It's not like we don't love the job. We do love the job, but there's only so much you can do, isn't
Mm.
it? Like, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. There's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so many hours where you can work safely.
Mm.
And as GP is one profession. If you're doing a salaried job, you don't have anything like other professions where you get an overtime. You
Mm.
just you're given something and you're expected to finish that and then go home. And sometimes for some people that means staying up to, they come in for work at 7:38, and that means leaving at 8:39 in the night. Like,
Mm.
that's a good 12, 13 hours a day, and you get paid for 8.
Mm.
uh, and at the end of the day, that's not sustainable. By no means it is sustainable. And then what happens is, a lot of people I know are just working 2 days a week, because that itself is like, if you think of 12 hours, 24 hours in 2 days, and then they just don't can't cope working more hours as a general practitioner, unfortunately. And that's what it is, unfortunately. So when I started the business, and I'm sure you must feel the same, like,
Mm.
practicing medicine and the online business are two different, things, or completely,
Mm,
um, and it's two different roles that we have to play.
mm.
So how do you manage these two roles effectively?
Yeah, I think it does require time management. And yes, there are day-to-day challenges to be able to juggle both things. But I think having the eyes on the prize that actually I'll be a more effective clinician and doctor if I'm successful in business, and I'll be
Yeah.
better in business if I am a better doctor because I think it has a professional pedigree, and I think people are more possibly more willing to trust people professionals who might be doing this business as well. That's not to say people don't trust others either, but there is something which comes with having that level of trust in society. So I think they go hand in hand. Also, I think being a clinician, ultimately, you want to be of service to others. And I think the more I work in clinical medicine, I think a lot of people's pain and anxieties, yes, are rooted in deep set traumas from childhood and adverse life events, but actually, increasingly so, a lot of them are economically driven as well, or at least economically influenced. So, with this business, it allows you to help people to set up their own business and sort of liberate themselves. So, I think it's still an act. It's a business. The aim is to make profit and money, but also at the same time you are helping other people to build opportunities themselves as well. And I think just the way that training is designed, it helps you to practice gratitude and helps you to just develop greater self-awareness as well, about your own strengths and your own weaknesses. So I think they go hand in hand, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree with you. And that's one thing I like about our community.
Mm,
As they say, if you do the mission, the commission follows.
mm, mm,
So, and it just amazes. Sometimes as clinicians, you think the only way, because most of us, and I'm sure you can agree with me.
mm,
Most of us go into this profession like being a doctor is you have a service kind of mentality anyway, that you want to
mm.
serve people. Of course we want to make money, but if it was just to make a money, you
Mm.
can be a banker or
Exactly.
something else, isn't it? You necessarily don't enter the medical profession just thinking like I want to make loads of money, because if you do, you're going to be highly disappointed.
Mm,
I think because of the hours you put in, it's not worth it if you're just coming in for the money.
mm,
And the other thing the business actually made me realize is that you can actually serve people other ways, like what you rightly said, like through this business also, you are sharing this opportunity, like you're sharing this opportunity to other people, and enlightening them that, see, there's another way that you can have a solid financial future. And we are telling everyone that we are there to help them reach their financial goals. And once we reach that financial goals, it's not like, I'm a big believer of giving back to the community. And a lot of doctors, we do, I'm sure you must have gone for charity walks. I have,
mm,
we have. So if I believe if you have, you just feel like giving more, and you will
mm,
return it back to the community. So, and that, because sometimes people say, oh, so you don't want to serve as a doctor, you just want to make money. But that's not the point. The point is, I've come to learn that I can serve other ways also, and not
mm.
just with the profession. And also that makes me happy because, rather than spending all my time at work and trading my time for money, I now get to spend more time with my family, which makes me a happier person and a more fulfilled person. And I still, like yourself, I still carry on become being a GP because I love the profession, and I still want to serve in that category. But then at least now I am in control of what I do, so that I don't end up being burnt out.
Precisely.
Um, and then being, an irritated GP, which I think nobody likes. So, yeah, so I completely agree with you in that what you've actually just said. Um, the other thing, some people do ask me, like, obviously, we have no business training. At least
Mm,
I
yeah.
I don't have any business training. I'm assuming this that
Yeah.
you don't even. So, so people think like ask. Well, and that's the thing. I think once you are in a professional job, you think for anything you need to do in life, you need a qualification. And now I've come to learn that's not it really. All you actually need and mostly is someone to actually show you the way, to mentor you.
Mm,
That's the main thing in anything. I think that's the way. And as you might already know, like in the UK, from this year onwards, there's going to be apprenticeships to become a doctor,
exactly.
which is more like
Yeah.
having a mentor and a supervisor and things
Mm,
like that, isn't it? So it just goes to show that you can learn things not just with because when you do like university, it's more theoretical, and then basically you learn things when you are doing your F1 F2 trainings and things like that, because you become more hands on, isn't it?
mm.
You learn a lot more that time. So because of that, people, you must have faced and I have faced this transition.
Mm,
For me it was mainly the mindset that needed transitioning.
mm.
So what sort of things did you find like a hurdle for this really?
Yeah, I'd say similar. That sense of developing. I think it's a very British thing to not talk about money and
Yeah,
wanting to be successful in business, even though this country is built on successful businesses. But I think it's very hush hush and not really talked about.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think it was an internal challenge to go through. But then at the end of the day, you look at what you want and what your future is, and stop thinking about what other people might think. Um, and at the same time also developing some boundaries as well, professionally and personally, that okay, this is my time, this is what I'm doing. You may have an opinion about XYZ, but it's working for me and it's paying dividends. So live and let be, I suppose. I think that's probably been some of the challenges to come across, but I think it's an ever unfolding process, and sometimes you need those challenges and hiccups to sort of really strengthen your resolve to keep going and persisting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So other than the mindset, what else did you have? Did you have any other hurdles that you had to cross over when you were, you know, ventured into the entrepreneurial space?
Yeah. Obviously, there, as you mentioned earlier, there were the fact that I was sitting two exams alongside as well.
Of course.
Uh,
In your case, yes, definitely. That was really, hats off to you. I don't know how you did it, but
yeah, and then also then applying for jobs, and then all the other hurdles which come after you've gone through all of those things.
I
So,
know.
in some ways, I'm still coming out of that shell as well. But then with that is also then finding the financial capital to invest in the business in the first place. And I think that took a bit of push from within to think, okay, fine, it is an investment. Like any business, you have to invest in it, but it's either now or there'll be, or I'll get sucked into the game of, oh, I'll just locum and like you said, spend hours to get money and trade in my life for that. And I didn't want to fall into that trap, so I thought I'd come out of it before even falling into that potentially.
Absolutely. That was a great discussion. So, if you had one or two things to say to our
Mm,
audience, maybe
mm,
like a training doctor or an audience in
mm.
general, what
Yeah.
would your advice be?
I'd say, and I think to be fair, I think the consciousness of doctors, given the current political economic climate, has changed. Prioritize yourself and your well-being. This is a career which is meant to, yes, we go into it to serve others, but at the end of it, but you need to look after yourself and your own interest as well. And the system in itself doesn't owe you anything, and you don't owe it anything. So there's no point being a martyr to it. There's no rewards for it. There's no prizes for it. And I think increasingly the digital sphere has so many opportunities
Yeah.
to make be very financially successful, and in a way which is wholesome, and um, you're not cheating people out of anything or selling things which are inappropriate, for example. It's all very legitimate. And yes, I think we get conditioned to think that, oh, the conventional way is you get a high paying job and then you live life the rest of like that. But actually, for true financial independence, I think you need to have a business mindset to be able to develop equity. um, and I think, unfortunately, I think many doctors, because we're so in that tram line of wanting to go through our specialty training and go through XYZ, unfortunately sometimes we're unable to use our minds, which a lot of doctors are bright, but to be able to think laterally and think, actually, we can work smarter as well, and find other ways of earning money.
Absolutely. The thing is, as I always tell people, like school never taught us these things.
Hmm.
Because the school, I feel the whole system, this is exactly what I tell people. I say it's all rigged. The
Hmm.
school system was started, it became the way it was during the Industrial Revolution because during the Industrial Revolution, they needed workers. So because they needed workers, they needed to teach people basic math and a language like English.
Hmm.
And then they wanted to teach them how to behave, how to be a good employee. And that was the way, and that's been now for centuries. Now we're just following the same thing, because at that time they needed workers who did know how to read and write and do basic math, and follow instructions. But now the world has really changed, but our school system has not changed. And I think they don't want to change it, because if everyone becomes entrepreneurial, I think they would be worried about who would then actually work. But on the flip side, AI is taking over.
Hmm.
um, you would What I generally tell people is, one of the companies I work with for a health tech company, and I once did a simulation, and this was 5 years ago. And I was 94% accurate in the simulation, and the AI was 98% accurate.
Hmm.
So that's a scary thing, really, isn't it? If you think about it, that is really, really scary, that AI is
Hmm.
actually potentially has the potential to take over. And that
Hmm.
means you probably don't need that many doctors.
Hmm.
And so you have to start thinking of not just one stream of income, but
Hmm.
several streams of income, really.
Absolutely, and
Yeah. So, but the news is out there, it's there everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. So, and we are in our pages also saying the same thing. So anyone who visits our page will know about all these facts, and why we, even though we have a good paid job, still want to do the business.
hmm.
So it was lovely chatting with you, Adil. So thank you so much for spending your time to come here and have a chat. So if anyone who's watching this or watching the replay, wants to get in touch with us, you can either speak with Adil, direct message him, or myself,
Hmm.
and we will be more than happy to talk you through the next process of starting your own online business. Was there
Thank you.
anything, any last words, Adil, that you want to say?
No, it's been great to be here and catch up with another person from the same profession doing this, and there'll be plenty more of us coming, hopefully.
Yeah, there's lots of doctors coming through now. All right. Thank you so much, and have a good evening, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.